Michael. That's what's left in the game. We're tied at 111 as MJ brings it up. Brings it across. Michael stops, starts, falls down, spins, fades, finds Whittington for the slam.
They said Bill Whittington could be a hero here. 3.1 on the clock. They went for Michael. Ewing did come over, as we said. And underneath the basket was Bill Whittington.
Pops out, falls down, and loses it. Backcourt Bulls.
Yes, the Bulls are going to win this one, baby. 8/10 of a second. One home.
We welcome you back to the Great Western Forum in Inglewood, California. Prime Sports sending our Monday night fight card your way. I'm Tom Kelly along with Rich Marotta. We've had some great fights here at the Great Western Forum. Tonight's action has not been nearly as competitive, at least in our opening co-main event, as we thought it would be. But then again, it could very well be, as Castro and De Jesus get ready for the main event, that Chico Castillo was having one of those nights, Rich, that everybody expects him to have every time out.
Well, Chico, of course, a terrific young fighter, undefeated. And that was a case of really catching an opponent cold, Tom. That was just so quick, a one-punch knockout in just barely the first minute of the first round. But now we're ready to see the former champion of the world, Melchor Cobb Castro, who would like to become champion again against Jose De Jesus, who himself is a former WBO champ.
Should be an interesting battle. Jimmy Lennon Jr. has much business, important business, middle of the ring. Here he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our main event of the evening. At this time, making his way down the aisle, please welcome the former WBO light flyweight world champion from Puerto Rico, Jose Caguitas De Jesus.
Here's De Jesus coming in, former champion. These are 108-pounders now, remember. Little men that pack great wallops and almost invariably put on great fights. He's won 8 straight, as you can see. He's fought all over the world. He is 31 years of age, and that is always on the downside in a division like this. 31 can be an old age. Although Rich Marotta and I would settle for it in a New York minute.
Well, Tom, he's a former WBO champion. But he did fight for the WBA championship on 2 occasions against the Korean Myung Woo Yo in 1986 and 88. He lost both of those fights by decision. But those are the only losses in his career in fighting world championship fights.
29-2. We alluded to his impressive record in the introductory moments of our show here tonight, and this could be a very interesting test for Melchor Cobb Castro. There he is. That's Jose De Jesus from Puerto Rico. Jimmy, if you will.
And now making his way to the ring, here's the former WBC light flyweight world champion from Campeche, Mexico, Melchor Cobb Castro.
Cobb Castro is an interesting fighter. He has got all the moves, a classy boxer, puncher. Look at that impressive record. 38-3 in his last 42 fights. And of the 3 losses, 2 of those to Chiquita Gonzalez Humberto, who, of course, is the WBC and the IBF champion. This guy sometimes the crowd gets down on him because he doesn't do what they want him to do. Magnificent boxer, and he can easily go 10 rounds as easily as he can put you away, Rich. It depends on the opponent, whether or not he thinks he can knock you out. If he can't, he's content to box your ears off for the duration.
And he can do it with most people. He doesn't knock a lot of guys out, Tom. Only 18 KOs in his 51-fight career. However, he has a brilliant technique. He really uses the ring well. Great mobility, very, very accurate, and is a cut above any, any ranked fighter for the most part. And the only guys really that have had any opportunity to hang in there with Cobb Castro have been a world championship caliber.
All right, the light flyweights will be in action in a moment. Right now, Jimmy Lennon Jr. and our national anthem.
Well, fans, before we start our action at this time, I'd like to ask you to rise for the singing of our national anthem. In the ring, presenting the colors, we have the U.S. Marine Corps Color Guard, Recruiting Station, Los Angeles. And to lead us here tonight, my pleasure to hand the microphone over to a fine vocalist. How about a hand for Celeste Leah?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last glass gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much to Celeste Leah and the U.S. Marine Corps Color Guard Recruiting Station, Los Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to our featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Forum Boxing Incorporated and Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers. This bout is sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, the chairman, William Eastman, the vice chairman, Willie Buchanan, the executive director at ringside, Richard DeCure. Introducing to you our referee in charge. He'll be giving instructions after the introductions, Raul Cais. All right, fans, here we go. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us across the nation on Prime, it's time for the main event of the evening, a light flyweight special attraction scheduled for 10 rounds of boxing. Introducing to you first on my left, fighting out of the red corner, he enters the ring ready to fight, wearing red, white, and blue trunks, and joining us from Arroyo, Puerto Rico. He weighed in at an even 110 pounds. His fine record stands at 29 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, with 22 big wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former WBO light flyweight world champion, Jose Caguitas de Jesus. And his opponent across the ring on my right, fighting out of the blue corner in our main event attraction, wearing red, white, and green trunks, fighting out of China, Campeche, Mexico. He weighed in at a ready 109 pounds with a record of 43 wins, 4 losses, and 4 draws. He has 18 wins coming by way of knockout. He is currently ranked the #1 WBC 108-pounder. Please welcome the former light flyweight champion of the world, Melchor, Baby Cobb Castro. Once again, here's our referee in charge, Raul Cais.
Ok, muchachos, les di las instrucciones de abajo. Háganme caso. Buena suerte a los dos. Ahora dense la mano.
Tail of the tape with these two. De Jesus looks to be taller, and at 5'4" he is. Castro at 5'2". De Jesus came in at 110. Castro at 108. De Jesus 4 years older, and he has an advantage of 3 inches in the reach department. He looks fit and ready to go at age 31, and Cobb Castro is always fit and ready to go. The man you saw in the corner with the #1 ranked contender at 108 pounds, Nacho Beristain, is also the man who handles Humberto Chiquita Gonzalez. And while Gonzalez has defeated Castro twice, there's talk that the mandatory defense in November could find these two mixing it up again. But I would think he'd go after the WBA title if he can get a shot at that, Rich, because the other man owns the WBC IBF.
Yeah, I think that Nacho Beristain probably would prefer that Cobb Castro, and maybe Castro himself would prefer going off in another direction. He has fought Chiquita twice and lost both of those times. It is not unprecedented, Tom. And for those of you who weren't here for our opening comments tonight, if you recall back when Carlos Zarate fought Lupe Pintor, they were both managed then by Cuyo Hernandez, who just sat that one out. Ricardo Maldonado managed Antonio Esperagosa and Marcos Villasana both when they fought for the title. He just sat it out. Angelo Dundee had both Jimmy Ellis and Muhammad Ali. He did work in the corner of Jimmy Ellis. punch that night against Muhammad Ali for the only time in Ali's career. So it's not unprecedented if this happens.
No. There's no restriction against it. Brothers fighting brothers is something that isn't allowed. But, I mean, you know, as far as a manager having two guys vying for the same title, well, that's just one of the ways it goes, and how fortunate he is. You can sit back, clip coupons, can't he?
That's right. Now, Castro here, you see, working the body here early. An excellent technician. Will fight inside or outside, Tom. He seems to be able to adjust to whatever his opponent wants to do. He's not involved in a lot of real offensive-minded fights, but I think boxing purists appreciate what Melchor Cobb Castro brings to the table.
Yeah, the average boxing fan, though, wants to see him busy, knocking guys out and wailing away at everybody. But as you've indicated, and we've watched him, of course, those who've seen him know that he's a brilliant technician in the ring, and he seldom puts himself in a bad spot, and he's content to do whatever it takes to win. If the guy he's in against, he is convinced he can't knock this guy out, he'll just take him 10 rounds and box him and win it that way. He has no compunction about fulfilling his part of the contract. If it's 10, he'll go 10. Now, this guy, DeJesus, looks strong to me, Rich. He is, you know, at 110 pounds, he's not the biggest man in the world, obviously, but he looks like he's pretty well put together. He looks strong.
Yeah, and remember that, you know, his only losses have been in WBA championship fights, and by decision, and one was a split decision. So he is a guy who has fought at the very high levels, Tom, and done very well. He hasn't lost a fight since 1988. So, you know, he's got a lot going for him in that ring. He's a good mover. He's an accurate puncher. And in fact, there's a lot of the attributes of Melchor Cobb Castro also possessed by Jose DeJesus.
This has been a very tough opening round for these two. Castro's been very, very active. Sometimes he's criticized as being a slow starter. And the other guy, DeJesus, was content to stand right there, almost forehead to forehead, and test each other's ability to take shots to the body. So an interesting opening first round.
Now you see Nacho Beristain right in front of him explaining, I think this guy is a terrific trainer, Tom, and he's only now beginning to get the really just desserts and notoriety that he deserves. He is just fantastic. He's a great strategist for fighters as well as being an excellent conditioner.
We saw him earlier tonight. He was in the corner with Javier Leon, who took that shot from Chico Castillo and went down in the first round. That was a disappointment for him. Across the way, you're looking in DeJesus's corner, Freddie Trinidad, and I'm wondering if that indeed is related to Felix Trinidad. Could that be Felix's dad or brother?
I believe it is. All those Trinidads are involved in boxing over there, Tom.
Well, I'll tell you, Felix Trinidad
it's
can
a definite boxing family. Yeah.
Boy, he is one of the best in the world. Ranked among Rich Murata's top 10 currently. No question about it.
In the top 5, I believe, pound for pound.
You're going to put him in with Whitaker? What are you going to do? You going to match him?
I would love to see. I think that's the most attractive fight out there in boxing today.
Could very well be, because Tony campaigning and not too successfully. And you've got Jones, who just beats everybody with ease.
That's the problem. You know, Roy Jones, I feel, is the best fighter in the world today, Tom, but he just, you know, there's nobody can give him a fight. That's the problem. And I think, you know, you put Felix Trinidad in there against Pernell Whitaker, you're hard-pressed to pick a winner. Although I would actually, nice uppercut.
Indeed, thrown by DeJesus.
I'd actually lean to Trinidad right now, the way he's coming out.
Boy, he can really hit, and he's quick, but Pernell Whitaker is just one of the very best champions, period.
Talking a little bit more here about Jose Caguitas DeJesus, the 31-year-old fighter from Puerto Rico in the striped trunks. He won the WBO title back in 1989 with a TKO of Fernando Martinez in 9 rounds. He did make 3 successful defenses of the championship and then didn't fight, Tom, from November of 1990 till May of 93 due to what he said were legal problems that he kept encountering with the Puerto Rico Boxing Commission. And so he was out for 2.5 years, had a fight, and then laid off another 1.5 years. So he has not fought much, but he did fight last November, won by knockout, trying to stay a little more active, and it still looks as though he's got a good portion of his skills left.
Got 31. The other man, of course, Melchor Cobb Castro, is ranked #1 and is scheduled for a mandatory try at the title come November. The southpaw. This is scheduled for 10 rounds.
And as for Cobb Castro, giving you a little bit more of his history, Tom, he won the championship in 1991, the WBC title holder. He won it by defeating and knocking out right here at the Forum Rolando Pasqua in 10 rounds, the man who had beaten Chiquita Gonzalez.
In more than a bit of an upset, I might add.
That's right. Pasco had decisively beaten, knocked out Chiquita. And Pasco came back and was a heavy favorite over Castro, and Castro took care of him in 10.
Now Castro, who's very busy, very accurate with his punches. He's very, very tough inside, and his punches are short and to the point, and he seldom wastes one. He is not a big knockout guy. 18 knockouts and a total of 43 victories. So while he is scoring, it appears repeatedly with some pretty good shots, he is not the kind of a guy who will knock you out with 1 or 2 punches. If he puts you away, it's going to be by attrition. On the other hand, this kid Diaz, 29 wins, 22 knockouts. One would think he's got some pretty good stock as they battle away with each other here in round number 2. And round 2 coming to a close, and we'll be right back.